Alright guys, hello and welcome. This is my new Feed the Beast Let's Play series, and we're going to be playing a lot of Feed the Beast, so buckle up and hold on because it's going to be a lot of fun. We got a lot of cool stuff to build. I'm really excited for a lot of the things I have planned for this series, and I'm excited to continue playing. So, of course, I did those 2 Prelude to Feed the Beast episodes, which you should check out if you're not too familiar with Feed the Beast. I've got basically some starter info on what Feed the Beast is and a little bit about some of the stuff I'm going to be starting off with. And to kind of go with that point, I need to talk about where we're at with this series and what exactly I'm doing here. So I'm playing the Feed the Beast 1.0.1 Ultimate Pack. This is essentially the pack that combines the best of Direwolf, the best of Minecraft, and some extra stuff to create a really cool mod pack. And that's sort of where we're at right now, as in terms of that being the most recent version. And I think this is going to be the version I'm going to be playing for quite some time. 1.5 updates, because this is playing on 1.4.7. When the 1.5 update finally comes to all these mods, I think that'll be maybe a month and a half away. A month at the soonest. But otherwise, the 1.5 update, the modders have been saying that it's not too difficult to upgrade to, so they'll be going to that. So specifically, my Feed the Beast pack is a little bit different from your normal one. I've got Optifine on, which actually doesn't come by default, and I don't know why they don't put it on by default. It's an amazing tool, but regardless, it's not on there, and I have put it on because it's just good to have, and I need to get the frames. I'm getting about 39 frames per second right now. It's fluctuating between 37 and 39, so hopefully we should be having enough frames to do cool stuff. And I'm also playing with some of the GregTech recipes disabled. So if you're familiar with GregTech, I've talked about this in my previous episodes, that I am disabling some of the hard recipes because I don't like how they interact with the rest of the mod, and that's a personal preference. It's no problem if you want to play with GregTech. It is on by default. You can go ahead and shut it off, though, if you don't want it. I've changed a couple of the recipes, specifically the useful recipe section. I've turned all of those to false. So if you don't know how to do that, you can, of course, go and look it up on Google. It's very, very easy. It's simply you open the config files in your notepad, and then you just change all the true to false, and then you save it, and you run again, and you're good to go. So, what are we going to do for this series? Well, I did some thinking, and I almost considered starting a new world over, but I really didn't feel like it, because there's a lot of stuff, a lot of tedious stuff, that I didn't want to have to go through again. So I decided to keep my world, and so this is what you're looking at here. This is my base that I was building at in the last series. It's a little bit different. I've made this little room in here. It'll be larger eventually. We'll get there. And that's what she said. But yeah, this is kind of where I've been at. I haven't really done a whole lot to change this setup, so let me just tour the area first. This is a giant chunk that I quarried out. This was done probably a few weeks ago, and I really haven't done much with it since then. I was going to redo all the walls and put some grass down there, and it really never went through. Over here, this is my lava tank, which is not filling right now because my lava from the nether is not coming in. Oh. And otherwise, it's getting sent to the Tesseract, to this guy, and these magmatic engines here, which operate by lava input, are also not running right now just because I have it all shut off. Yeah, and then this is all my Buildcraft power. Everything over here you might expect if you're looking at Buildcraft stuff, thermal expansion stuff. Actually, this is all thermal expansion. I shouldn't even say Buildcraft. There's nothing Buildcraft over here. But yeah, this is all thermal expansion stuff. And this is mostly industrial craft. All of my stuff up here, these GregTech machines, and these industrial craft geothermal generators. The top ones are thermal generators, which are a little bit more efficient, so I have fewer of them. And then my ender tank, which is once again empty. The pride and joy of my facility here is this guy. This is the Ultimate Hybrid Solar Panel, and this thing is a monster at generating energy. And so I'm running all of my energy off it right now because that's just what it is. I used to have a bunch of machines laying out right out in here, but I moved them all when I built this room, and I want to redo everything. And specifically, I want to redo it using this guy, the ME controller, which is part of the Applied Energistics mod, a relatively new mod, but it's got a lot of cool stuff in it. If you've seen Direwolf 20 Spotlight on it, it is amazing. The stuff you can do with it is so cool, and it basically lets you automate your entire item storage and crafting system much better than you could with other mods. Like, you could use auto crafting tables to do fancy stuff, whatever. Okay, this is 100 times better. I guarantee you that if once you start seeing ME stuff or applied energistic stuff, if you were using auto crafting tables, you will put them down and start making these guys, because these guys are amazing. So that actually brings us to today's episode. We need to get this set up. I need to get all my machines back up and running so that I can start building things, because when we go to the next step of our project, we're going to need some materials that I can't make right now because I don't have the machines out on the floor. They're all stored away. They're all tucked away in here and in here, and I thought there was some stuff in here. Apparently not. But yeah, we'll get up to all that at a later point. But today we definitely need to get everything reset back up. So what is exactly Applied Energistics? Really, I guess it's a simple concept of a mod, but it's a little bit more complicated when we talk about it in execution. So what it is basically is you've got item storage, like in chests, but instead of storing them as physical items, we store them as data. Now, obviously, Minecraft actually stores items as data because it's all data, but imagine not having physical items in a chest. Like in here, they're considered like physical items. You can go in here, you can pull one out, you can go put it in a different chest. But what if we stored it as data on a network? If we did that, we can access that data at any point in our network that we wanted it to, and pull it out and send it places without having to go through all these chests. Imagine if these chests were all connected and I can access them at any one of them. That's basically what an Ender chest does, but it's even better because we can actually execute commands from our command center that we'll set up over here and be good to go. So actually the first thing we need to make, and we're going over to our fabricator setup, these are Zycraft blocks and they're really cool. So if you want to make something, you just click on that item, you click on the question mark, and it puts it in the center right here. So this is the ME crafting terminal, which isn't actually what I want. I want the ME access terminal. The ME access terminal takes 3 glass, a conversion matrix, 4 iron, and an ME cable. So how do I make this? Well, pretty simple actually. So I go get some glass. I'll get 1, 2, 3 glass from my item chest. You can see I have quite a bit of items, but you know, I can always use more. And then we want the conversion matrix, which we talked about. Where are they? There's one. And the 4 iron, which are back in here actually. Grab 4 iron. We'll throw them in here. So in order to craft this using the fabricator, all I've got to do is I've got to put the items that I want to use for the crafting recipe, in this case the iron, the glass, the conversion matrix, and the 1 ME cable, and it will automatically craft an ME access terminal with the items that I put in here. Now I can keep dumping items in here and I'll keep making access terminals. I only want to make 1 this time, but this is really useful if you want to just craft something. The best part about the fabricator is that it'll take items out of adjacent blocks, including other fabricators. So if I put a chest here and I fill it with cobblestone and I say, this thing needs to make stone slabs, or cobblestone slabs, it'll just pull all of the cobblestone out of that chest and try to make as many cobblestone slabs as it can in this area. And basically until it fills up. I use that for my other setup, which we'll get to down the road. So we've got the ME access terminal. That's what we want. So I'm going to put this here and take the ME access terminal, and that's not actually where I want it. Pick it up again. There we go. Okay, so go into my access terminal, and here are all my items in my network, which I have none, which is exactly how many I should have, because I don't have anything hooked up to it yet. Basically, all the controller does is it sends energy to everything. This stuff does take energy, and it can take EU or MJs, so I'm sending it EU from my Ultimate Hybrid solar panel at a rate of 64 EU per tick. because it's night, and that's how much it generates at night. It generates 512 during the day, which is honestly that's a ridiculous amount. This thing is such a monster. I love it. It took a lot of resources to make though, so I won't be able to make another one for a long time. I would if I could. Another thing I might want to point out, I guess, is that this entire room is made out of Zycraft blocks. These are the dark engineering, the light engineering, and then the inverted lights. These are the red engineering blocks, as well as one orange light, which I think I'll do the rest of the ceiling with the orange lights as well. It'll look really cool when I have these liquid ducts filled with lava, which they aren't right now, but they will be down the road. So again, back to the ME terminal. We need to fill this thing with items somehow, and probably the easiest way to do that would be to get a chest. So if I grab, oh, it's right there, an ME chest, and we're going to need one more thing. Okay, we're going to need that. So if I grab an ME chest and I connect it to my network, you see it flashes for a moment. Now it's telling me that it's going to use more energy because I've got more blocks hooked up to it per tick, and it's got the 2 cables, the one. Actually, why do I have 2 cables? Oh, because I have a cable right here. I can actually get rid of that. I don't need that here. Ooh, this thing takes forever to break. Break it with my advanced diamond drill, and I can actually throw this here. So the ME chest is dark. I can't put items in it until I put a storage disk. Now I can put items in it. So if I put some ink sacs in there, it'll store those ink sacs. But I can throw pretty much anything I want in there. It'll hold 1,000 total items and 63 types of items. So it's got 63 slots in here, and it'll hold 1,000 items. So you can fill it with 1,000 cobblestone. And what's kind of cool is that if you do put like 500 cobblestone and 500 cobblestone, it'll only take, like, it'll fill 1,000 cobblestone like in one slot. So I can put over a stack of items in there, and it'll only fill one slot on here, which is kind of cool. Now, additionally, now that I've got space on here, if I put some dirt. Whoops, sorry about that. I had someone interrupt me. Anyways, yeah, so if you put some dirt in here, it stores it as the data, but now I can access it from the ME terminal, which is really cool. So I can access all of my storage from one spot. It's kind of annoying. There's a search function on it, so you can't press E to get off of it because you'll just type in the search function. You gotta like press escape to do it. Apparently there's something in the config file that lets you change that. I'll probably try to look that up when I can. So basically, this is really cool. I mean, this is what a great way to store all of your items, assuming you have enough data storage in order to accomplish that. Now, chests are cool. They're kind of neat and whatever, but they only store the one ME storage, one of these ME storage disks. So what if we could make a machine that stored a bunch of ME storage disks, and it worked pretty much the same as an ME terminal? The difference being you can't go to into a ME, this device that I'm going to talk about. You can't go to one of those and put stuff in, but we can put stuff in here anyways. We can put oak wood if we want in here, and of course we can access it from here. So we got to make the next thing, which will go back over to the fabricator, and we'll look up the ME drive. So we'll get our function here. Alright, so the ME drive is pretty simple. Basically, we just need 2 basic processors and some generic stuff. The processors are kind of annoying to make. An ME basic processor is a basic processor assembly put through a furnace. To make one of these is fairly simple though. We just need some gold ingots, some silicon, some redstone, and a quartz cutting knife. I've already got the quartz cutting knife, which is just a tool that you can make right here. And I've got some silicon laying around right here. The silicon is the quartz dust passed through a furnace. And the quartz cutting knife is, if I can bring up the recipe, 2 sticks, 2 quartz crystals, and iron ingots. So for this mod, it's the quartz crystals and the quartz dust that you get from quartz ore that you can find in terrain generation. That is what you want to go for. That's basically what the mod introduces, and that's basically all you need to worry about too. So it's kind of nice that there's only the one ore block that you need to focus on. There's not like a bunch of them. So like I said, we need gold and redstone. We need some gold. Oh, and we need 2 redstone. And we got redstone already. So I'll put the gold in here, redstone here, silicon on the bottom, and the quartz cutting knife on the top. And we make the processor assembly. And you keep the quartz cutting knife, it just uses up some of its uses. So if you use it up 4 times, I mean, it's probably not going to run out. And even when it does, it's cheap to make. So we've got the processor assembly, and actually we need to make another one, I forgot. 1, 2, or excuse me, just one. And then the one silicon, gold, redstone, and there we go. Okay, we got the 2 processors. And we're just going to stick these in a furnace, and I've got 1,000,000,000 coal. I really don't care about using the other furnaces. So while it's running, let's look at the recipe again. We need 4 iron and 2 glass. So let's grab the iron out of here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the glass. 1, 2. I also need a chest, I believe. A chest, yes. So go in here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Can't wait for that 1.5 crafting. It's so nice. Alright, we got the processors, so now we can throw everything in. Throw in the glass, throw in the iron, throw in the chest, and lastly throw in the processors. And we get the ME drive. So the ME drive basically is like a chest with more slots. So if we put the ME drive down right, let's say here, we can take this and we can put it into the ME drive. And now we can still access our items. We can still put items in. We can still take items out. We just don't need this chest anymore. And that's really cool. So this means we can store a lot of stuff in here, a lot more stuff, with fewer data drives. So we don't have to make as many of these guys. Now, there are definitely more spacious storage drives. Like for this guy, we need to make him with redstone, iron, and a storage cell, which is one of those basic processors, again, like we just made. And 4 quartz crystals and redstone, but there's upgraded versions. So this stores 1,000. This is the 1K storage. Now we could build a 4K storage, which requires a storage segment, which is 3 of those storage cells, which again are these guys. So basically takes 4 processors plus a bunch of quartz crystals. Or we could upgrade even to a 16K storage, which takes a storage block, which is more of these storage segments plus an advanced processor, which I believe takes diamonds. Yes, it does. And lastly, you can get the 64K storage, which is a monster. It takes a storage cluster, and yeah, it takes a lot of stuff. I have no interest really in making something that large, mostly because it's very easy to simply fill this up with the 1K storage and then have a way to dispose of everything that you need to. Unless you're storing like a bunch of random stuff, I don't really see any reason to upgrade to the bigger ones. But maybe that'll change later on. We'll see. So with this in mind, we're now storing our items in this data space. So the question is, what do we do with this? So how do we get things from our data to where they need to go? And in this case, I've got all my items in here, but I might not always want them to get from here. So we'll move on to the next segment by building some new pieces. So here's where applied energistics gets really interesting. We can do some really cool stuff with it. Basically, instead of just having our items in here, we can actually send these items to different places wherever we need them to go using a couple of special blocks. And I've kind of rearranged down here a little bit, but we need to make these blocks first. And the first one is the ME pattern encoder. So this is made with a crafting table, a bunch of iron, and another one of those conversion matrices. Need to make a crafting bench though. So make one of those. Throw that in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, 7. And one of these guys. And we make the pattern encoder. And I can throw this over here really anywhere. It doesn't actually matter too much. I'll probably end up replacing this. So I'll go ahead and move my chest here. And throw it on a pattern encoder. So what the pattern encoder does is it encodes pattern crafting data disks things that we're going to make another one of. We got to make blank patterns. So patterns are really cool. And they basically let us craft stuff automatically using items that we already have. So 1, 2, 3, And then it takes a quartz crystal, and it takes 3 iron. And we get the blank pattern. So I'm going to... Oh, my frames just took a dive bomb. Let me check my hard drive, make sure we've got enough space to continue going. Oh, wait, I'm back up to 30 frames. Okay, I think we're safe now. What I'm going to need are 2 things. I'm going to need some sticky resin and some rubber. And I'm grabbing these out of my system so that I can encode this blank pattern. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Okay, we got one ME blank pattern. So now if I put in rubber here, and I put in sticky resin, what I can do is I can encode a blank pattern so that it knows that, okay, if I have a sticky resin, I can craft rubber with that. And all I've got to do is encode it. Now you can see that it crafts 1 rubber with 1 sticky resin. Now actually I'm going to get more than that, but I think this is okay. I don't think it's going to mess up. But the problem is, where is he going to get that? So where do I put all this stuff? What do I do with it? Well, we need 2 more blocks still. One of these is an ME interface, and the other one is an ME import bus. So the import bus actually takes an ME interface, so I'll go ahead and make 2. That's not what I want. Here we are. This takes a little bit more glass and some... Ooh, more glass than I have. This takes a little bit more glass, a little bit more iron. Oh. And another conversion matrix and a cable. So put in 2 cables, 2 conversion matrices, the glass, and however much iron we need, which is quite a bit. Another 8 iron. We made 2 interfaces. We can turn one of these interfaces into an import bus. So this takes... Actually, this takes a sticky piston, doesn't it? Do I have slime balls, I wonder? That is a good question. I don't think I do. Let me go run back over to my other base and I'll grab some slime balls and be back. Well, I think I was getting low frames over there earlier because I had like 8 gigs left in my laptop. My hard drive was almost full, but I deleted probably about 20 gigs worth of video in one shot, so I should be good. Not important video, just crappy stuff I didn't need anymore. I'd watched Dead Men Wonderland recently, and I had it all saved still on my laptop, so I went ahead and deleted that because I didn't need it anymore. All right, here's my import bus. Okay, now we can do stuff. So let's go down below, and you can see I already have my extractor hooked up over here. It's just ready to go, ready to do whatever. I've got 2 wires coming at it. It's got obviously the power, and then it's going to have this go over to it fairly soon. I'm going to go ahead and hook up the import bus. So that's down here, and the import bus has a little UI where you can move things in here, or you can put stuff in there, and it'll have a different effect on stuff. We'll get to that in a second. But let's start with the ME interface. Throw this down right on top of the extractor. So what the ME interface basically does is it takes items from my network, which is up there, all my storage, and it places them in the interface, and it interfaces with blocks. So it exports blocks, or exports items into blocks that can receive items. So in this case, the extractor can receive sticky resin. So if I put sticky resin in here, I'm saying, okay, export sticky resin to the extractor when I tell you to do so. And now I'm going to put this in here, the encoded assembler pattern. Craft 1 rubber with 1 sticky resin. So actually, if I go up top here, you'll see now, if I go in here, if I take all the rubber out of my system, it has that rubber icon still there. Now why is that there? And why does it say craft? Well, because if I can click on it, I can actually craft rubber with it. So if I click and I say, okay, I want you to craft 1 rubber, it will pull a sticky resin out, send it to the interface, and the interface will send it to the extractor. So now if I need rubber, I simply have to click on it and say, okay, go craft this mount. I don't have to walk to my extractor. I don't have to pull an item, take an item out of my chest, walk over to my extractor, put it in, wait for it to get done, and then put it back in. Well, except for that second part, I do have to pick it up out of here now and bring it back unless I use my ME import bus. So what I can do with this is I can say, okay, I want you to pull out rubber out of the machine if it happens to have it in there. And I believe it will pull it out. Or maybe it won't. Now this I had a little bit trouble with getting this to work correctly. I think you have to put it on the side, so like here, or else it won't work correctly. Okay, now it pulled it out. Okay, so it pulled out the blocks now. Yeah, okay, the rubber has been removed. So I'll put the rubber in here. So we got 6 rubber, and put some sticky resin in here. We've got 2 sticky resin. So of course, if I do have rubber in here, and I don't want to necessarily go in and pull them all out so I can hit craft, I can do view craftable. So this shows me all my craftable objects. I only have one right now, which is rubber. So let's remember that we've got 2 sticky resin and 6 rubber in here. If I go to here and I say craft, and I want you to craft the 1 sticky resin, I know it's going to make 3, but I'll just say, okay, do a set of sticky resin. It's pulled one of my sticky resin out. We can go down here and see that it's down here, and it's running. And then momentarily, we can see we have 6 rubber. That will jump up to 9 as soon as it's done doing what it's doing. Oh, and there it is, it's at 9. So that is the auto crafting system of this. And what we can do, of course, is now we can take other items, including macerators, electric furnaces, and compressors, and we can throw them all in here and create anything we need by sending items to those blocks. Now, we can also use a multi-block structure in order to craft just about anything else using what we have in here already, and we'll do that a little bit later in another episode. But I think this might be where I call things quits for now. I'm going to set up the rest of my machines off camera, and then we'll talk about it next time. And hopefully have a really good setup going. I may need to make more space. I originally wanted to have the machines along the side so I could have easy access to them. But I'm actually not liking that idea now. I think I like them hidden away. Also because space. Well, not necessarily space, but distance. I don't want to have to wire very far. But I also don't want it above ground because it kind of looks ugly. So if I can avoid doing that, that would be nice. It would be cool if this was all this room was. It was just like this. But we'll expand more on this in the next episode where we build the multi-block structures. Hopefully I have the materials to make them. I might need to go get more quartz, I'm not sure. But yeah, that's about it for today. I hope you guys liked this series. We got lots of cool stuff to do. Lots of cool stuff. And I'll be doing a video on 1.5 very soon. The Minecraft Adventure Time Craft. I don't know what's up with the texture pack. I haven't checked it yet. Hopefully it's updated. If it's not, we can still play, I believe. I think the textures will still work as long as I have Optifine on. So, until next time then.